On today's show, which Dallas Mavericks need to improve the most, and what can each Dallas Maverick improve the most? Let's talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Maxence-Prosper.
Mavericks, NBA champions. It's gone, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. Join the Raccoon Squad, be an everydayer. Subscribe and follow for free. Just search Locked On Mavericks wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section. Name a player on the Mavericks and what that player needs to improve next year. If you want to support the show, text us, get text alerts from us. Text Isaac in the middle of the night so he wakes up.
Yeah.
Support our subtext. Click the link in the description below. You get text straight to your phone. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor at Mavs.com, the yawning Yanma, the one more thing king. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Listen, my wife wasn't feeling good last night, and then our daughter came in our room. And I got to be up early for work. And I was like, you know what? I don't even care. So I just went to my daughter's bed and just went back to sleep in her bed so she would just go back to sleep.
She have like a toddler-sized bed too?
It's not that big, but, you know. And then my alarm went off for work. So it's been a day. But we got to talk about I gotta improve my sleep. You know who else needs to improve? Some of the Mavs.
An incredible turnover. All right, we're going to go through each Dallas Maverick and name one thing that we think they need to improve next season. And so we'll bounce back and forth. We'll go through them.
Including Jason Kidd?
Maybe we should. Maybe we should with Jason Kidd.
I'm not playing. I'm watching, just like you guys.
How he can improve his watching. All right, let's start with Luka Doncic.
Conditioning.
I knew you were going to do this. That's why I did something else.
All right, well, zag for it. I mean, I feel like that's the obvious for Luka, and we've talked about it a million times. We've talked about why it's a big deal a million times, of it helping him in those fourth quarters, it helping him with his little Luka boo-boos, helping
right. It's catching on.
Helping him as the season goes along. You start looking at some of his numbers like early in the season last year, early in the season before. It's like, man, it's not, you know, who was it? Courtney Lee that, you know, joked after his rookie season, skinny Luka's going to be a problem. No, it's more like November, December Luka is a problem. And, you know, now we need, you know, that to sustain for the whole year. And so, yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is conditioning for Luka.
I agree that I think that's the biggest thing. I think we've already seen him work on that. So I wanted to do something else, something that maybe not everybody is talking about. And to me, it's playing off the ball, because his conditioning has to get better so that he can carry, you know, a big workload.
I think the referee relationship.
I mean, the referee relationship obviously has to improve too. Like, he's got to get more, I guess, more focused. You could say focused for a lot of these things. Focused when he's off ball, focused when he's conditioning, and focused when he's, you know, talking to the refs or upset at refs. You could put that as the thing. But before the Kyrie trade, according to NBA.com, he had a 37.6% usage, which was the tops in the NBA. After the Kyrie trade, 34.6. So it went down 3 percentage points, and he was in like the top 10 still, but wasn't one of the top, you know, usage guys in the NBA. And usage is how many times you have the ball and you do something with it, a pass, you know, an assist, a shot, all that kind of stuff when you finish a play. And so I think he's got to do some more things off the ball, because I think that number, that 34.6, probably even has to go down a little bit more so that he doesn't have to carry so much during the game, so that by the end he's better. And by the fourth quarter, he's better than he was last year, because they need him to be better than last year in order for them to win close games.
You know what helps him off the ball? His conditioning. So he'll actually move and have energy to move off the ball. I mean, I joke about it, but there's a lot of possessions. Different people will point out that when Luka's tired, or as the season goes along, or when he's frustrated at refs and stuff, that if Luka gives up the ball, there's times in which he's, you know, just standing on the perimeter and just watching Kyrie do his thing. I want to see, Luka cut and move off the ball, coming off a screen, pin down, something like that. But
you want him to be better playing off ball? So it sounds like he needs to improve playing better off ball. Kyrie is my next one. And for me, with Kyrie, on the court, I couldn't think of a lot of things. I thought he played really well overall. He did a lot of things that you expect. Anything that you want him to improve on is something that we don't necessarily expect from him, at least from what I thought. And so I just put Luka and Kyrie chemistry, just the two of them together. Can we get some more Luka and Kyrie pick and rolls? The offense with them on the court was 121.7, which is like in the 94th percentile of offense last year. Just they were an incredible offensive duo, but they've got to do even more late in games, especially down the stretch, and get a couple of plays here, not trick plays, but just like plays, like go-to plays between the two of them that they can go to late in games when it's, crunch time.
Yeah, they're too smart of players to not figure it out. That's why I'm not worrying at all when people throw out the record since the trade last year and all that stuff. And like, hey, when Luka and Kyrie played together and what?
5-11.
Yeah, I just don't. I think we're gonna, see a training camp with them together. I think they're too smart of basketball players to not figure it out. I put him defending the pick and roll. You could say defense in general because he's gonna have to play. Luka is going to get the easiest assignment, right? Kyrie is gonna have to play some defense.
Yeah,
and he's not a bad defender. I'm not trying to say that. But he's probably going to take it up a notch because we've pointed out over and over that Josh Green's the only really point guard defender outside of Dante Exum on this roster, or he's at least in the rotation right now. So Kyrie's going to have to defend some of these other guards. And in particular, I put defending the pick and roll because, just looking at some of his synergy numbers, he allowed over 1.0 points per possessions in defending in the pick and roll. He was in the 8th percentile in that. So it's pretty low. So, he is probably going to be the smallest guy on the court almost all the time, unless he's running a 3-guard set or something which I think Hardy's taller than him, maybe.
Then Kyrie?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
So I'm like, if he's playing with Mike Miles, if he's playing with Mike Miles, the season's not going very well. So, that's just, they're going to target him on defense at times just because of his size naturally. And he's got to, it feels weird saying he's got to prove it because some people will take that like he's not a bad defender. I'm not saying he is a bad defender, but he doesn't really need to prove much on offense because he's that good. So he's just got to take it up a notch on the defensive side.
Is it wild we found so many things with Luka to point out, and he was first team All NBA last year? I'm thinking back. We named like 2 or 3. We could name free throws. We could name a couple of things with him that he could have done, and it's just wild
because there's a higher expectation, right? Like there's a higher. It's kind of like the coach's son, like whenever it's little league or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, the coach's son might be one of the best players, but the coach is pointing out all these different things because you're like, oh no, there's higher expectation. Like I struggled hard with a Richaun Holmes one, just because it's like I kind of know what you are, kind of like what you're good at.
We think
so. I'm kind of like, okay, the things that you are good at, you have good numbers at when you did play, and you're not going to grow 3 inches. So, and you're not going to just magically start shooting threes. So the expectation and the bar is lower. So I'm not like, I don't have a big list for Richaun Holmes. I do have a little list for Luka because he has that ability to be one of the best players of all time. And it's kind of like us, I can't wait to see his stuff at Springfield.
I need a recovery beer.
One of the best players of all time.
So he has the chance to.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. It's just when you said it just, it popped right there. Coming up, Grant Williams, Josh Green, Tim Hardaway, Maxi, the rest of the players. Let's talk about what other guys need to do in order to improve on this team. Let's talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about FanDuel. FanDuel has you covered with all the odds, lines, and props throughout the NBA, the NFL. Football season about to kick off. If right now you want to bet a Super Bowl winner, you've got one in your head. As soon as I said Super Bowl winner, you probably thought of a team.
Baltimore Ravens.
I don't know if you're getting very far with that one. Bet on them, and you can get bonus bets every time they win in the regular season. Isaac will get bonus bets for all 5 Ravens wins that they have this season. You can pick any team to win the Super Bowl. You get bonus bets for every regular season victory. Go check it out. FanDuel.com/lockedon. See what's available for your team as well, and see what's available for you know that they have MVP odds for Kyrie.
Wow.
They're the exact same. It's plus 11,000. So if you bet $100 and Kyrie wins MVP, you win $11,000.
It's kind of tempting. Is it weird?
You know who has the same odds as him right now?
Devin Booker.
James Harden. So. James Harden and Kyrie have the same MVP odds. Same as Jamal Murray. Go check it out at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Get those bonus bets today.
My first shot, my first play.
Woo!
Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad. We appreciate each and every one of you. On tomorrow's show, we'll break down some more Dallas Mavericks stuff. We'll have the schedule tomorrow, so we'll go line by line, game by game, like Isaac loves to do every year. We'll predict every game.
What a yearly tradition
of making that joke. No, yeah. We'll point out our favorite matchups, are the most important stretches for the Dallas Mavericks and things like that.
Speaking of yearly traditions, Mark Jones today on Twitter. Ben Simmons, best shape of his life. Said he's ready. He's been working out.
It's never really been his problem.
He's ready for the season, and it's like tradition like none other.
All right, let's get into the rest of the players on the Mavericks that need to make an improvement in something. Grant Williams, a little difficult. He wasn't on the Mavericks last year, but what I came up with is defensive footwork, because I think he's gonna be defending and being required to defend a lot more often. Played 25 minutes a game last year. I think that's going up. I think they're going to ask him to defend a lot more. You don't have a Marcus Smart. You don't have an Al Horford. You don't have a Jason Tatum. You don't have a Jaylen Brown. You don't have any of those things. He's going to be asked to do a lot more. And when I was looking at him, he ranked on Synergy poor, which is the very lowest. He ranked poor in isolation possessions and defending isolation possessions. And he's going to be on an island a lot this year.
Yeah, and I go back to what he said on that podcast with is either Theo or JJ, but he struggles with defending smaller guards.
Yeah,
and he said that so that's what I put on there. It's like he's got to improve at that, because other teams are going to know that. They're going to try to pull his man up there to get him switched off, so they can especially if it's a small ball lineup, they're going to try to probably pick on him. If he can't move his feet fast enough with some of the smaller guards. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, and he's just going to be on an island a lot, I think. I think he's going to be defending in isolation possessions. He's going to have to switch a lot, too. And I'm really curious to see how he works that out and how he figures it out. I think he will. I think he's a really smart guy and really smart defender.
Yeah, and that's like a small-ish thing, because all the stuff I think he's going to be asked to do, he's already good at. So, I kind of struggle with him a little bit, because he's good at guarding the bigger wings. That's what he's for. He's good at shooting the corner threes and threes in general. That's what he's for.
That's what he's for.
Even the improvement of he's not Reggie Bullock or first season Dorian Finney-Smith in the sense of he can't put the ball on the floor. He can put the ball on the floor too, and pump fake, go in, shoot a little shot here and there. So a lot of the things he's gonna be asked to do, he's already good at, but he's gonna have he needs to go to that next level. He's got to improve guarding the smaller guards.
Give me Josh Green's
control. I think he's got to be a little bit more in control. He's a little bit shout out to longtime Mavs listeners here. It's a little bit high school running backish still. A little unleash, get him. We all had that player in our high school that played football that was just an athlete, that they just had him on the basketball team just to go out there and run and just destroy things. And that was kind of like Josh's first few years of just unleashing. He's an athlete. He's going to make some crazy plays, but he's going to make some dumb plays too. He's gotten better at it, but I think that's the next step too. He's just got to calm down a little bit, not fully wound up Energizer Bunny, chill out, get some control, and on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. The thing he's got to get better at, he has to get better at, is defending point of attack. But we're just going to bring it up every time because that's the thing that they're going to need him to do the most. That's the thing I'm going to be watching the first month of the season with him the most, is to see how he defends, how they, put him in defense. Navigating screens, I think, is something that he's got to do a little bit more. I know, like, it's hard in the Maverick system to try to determine, all right, were they supposed to switch that? Were they not supposed to? I was watching some possessions yesterday, and there's some possessions where like Christian Wood's pointing at him, and I was like, was Christian Wood right about that defensive rotation, or was Josh Green right about that defensive? I'm like trying to decide between that. The low key thing I think that he can improve on. Last year in 33 possessions, not many, but 33 possessions, he was rated excellent by Synergy in pick and roll possessions as the ball handler. We forget that, like, with this quote,
people forget about Frank.
Nico Harrison first brought up Josh Green as another ball handler for the Mavericks. And maybe this is a year where he takes that step where he didn't necessarily take it last year. Maybe this is the year where he takes that step. He gets to the rim pretty nice because he's really quick. He's got a nice little floater game. And in his second season, he ranked poor in 18 possessions, and he ranked excellent in 33 possessions last year. So he raised all the way up just on a really small sample. But maybe that's something that he adds to his game to get him some more time, to make him more useful for the Mavericks and all that on offense.
And he's got to continue shooting the three at an efficient clip.
For sure.
He shot at 40% last year, but it was just under 3 a game. If he's stepping into the Reggie Bullock role, he's going to get a lot more 3-pointers, and he's got to hit them at a high clip, which surprisingly he has, shot at a higher, percentage over the past year or so, but he's going to get more shots at it this year. And, and Mark Stein, you sent out a subtext about this. Mark Stein reported that the Mavericks have engaged in contract negotiations or extension stuff with him. So he had a great interview on ESPN Australia. Kane Pittman didn't do it, but shout out to Kane Pittman.
Shout out to our coworker who works there.
Yeah, dude, he does so much cool stuff on ESPN Australia. And if you don't know Kane, he's the host of Locked On Bucks, but great. He's
come on here a couple times.
Yeah, that's true. He has come on here a few times. But anyway, it sounds like Josh wants to be in Dallas. Dallas in those negotiations. If they can get Josh at a reasonable number, that would be a big win for Dallas.
We also we haven't seen him play for Australia yet in the FIBA preparation games at all. He was, looked like he may play, and then he was out with an elbow injury. And then again, this second game, he was supposed to play. Some of us stayed up until 2:30 to try and see if he was going to play, and then realized that he wasn't going to play, and then maybe made that terrible.
And then I went to bed.
And then it was me. And then I did go to bed because I wasn't going to sit up and watch Exum play for 15 minutes. And that was it. Sorry, Dante. But yeah, they don't think it's anything big with his elbow injury, but he did have an elbow injury that kept him out from some games last year for the Mavericks. So something to watch out for with Josh. Tim Hardaway Jr. Can we just say defense overall? But I also said screen navigating.
I just said defense. He's got to be more than a traffic cone.
Yeah.
Like he's just got to. We're at this point in his career. It might just be like who he is, but that's the biggest thing. He's got to get better on defense.
And it's screen navigating for me that he just doesn't die on every screen. It feels like that's what happens with him. He ranked poor on Synergy in guarding pick and roll ball handlers. Like that's classic what that is. You die on screens. It doesn't fight through them or doesn't navigate them right. And some of them, sometimes maybe he's not being asked to do that. And then he didn't communicate that the other guy was supposed to switch. I mean, there's just all kinds of different things, and it can be really complicated with it. But with Tim, it's pretty simple, and it's just defense.
Yeah.
Coming up, let's rapid fire through the rest of these. We got a ton more, including the rookies. Jaden Hardy, I think, is a really
you
good
did
one.
The rookies?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't really have a basis to go off of from last year.
I mean, we watched a lot of their college stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay. Never mind.
Talk about that coming up.
My first shot, my first make.
All right, Isaac Harris, let's get into the rest of the players on the Mavericks that need to make improvements. Kind of go rapid fire on some of these. Maxi Kleber, first thing I thought of, rebounding.
Can we lump him and Dwight together since they're buds?
We can. Yeah, we can absolutely, because I had the same thing. I had rebounding for Dwight as well on here. Maxi, though, this season was in the 10th percentile in defensive rebound rate.
Wow.
The season before, he was in the 51st percentile. So something dropped off with Maxi where he just didn't rebound at the same rate. Maybe it was, Christian Wood being added. Maybe it was something else, but Mavs bigs just have to be better at rebounding overall.
Yeah. I mean, cause right now this who you're looking at, you're looking at Dwight and Maxi and Richaun Holmes, and I don't know what Lively's role is going to be, but they're looking at the same type of, platoon until they make a trade that they had last year. So yeah, both of them. I mean, you're looking at two guys that average around 4 or less rebounds a game. Got to have a little bit more from that. I trust Maxi shooting. I was looking at some of that. I think last year was around 34, 35, but
bounce back.
You're gonna get Maxi shoot the basketball from 3. You're gonna get Maxi being able to switch on defense. Hopefully you get healthier Maxi throughout the season. But if we're looking at an area for him to improve, it's rebounding a little bit more.
Dwight in the same way. I just wrote rebounding in any way possible. He was last year
rebounds
in the 12th percentile rebounding. He actually almost had a higher offensive rebound rate than a defensive rebound rate. His offensive rebound rate was 11.1. Defense was 11.8. Like that's insane that he's rebounding on offense almost better than on defense. That makes absolutely no sense for a center. And that's why Mavs fans are frustrated with him still being the starting center, but he does a lot of good things. Rebounding is not one of them.
Yeah. I don't have any more.
Let's do Jaden Hardy.
Ooh, Jaden's a good one. For Jaden Hardy, I put isolation scoring. Because that should be his calling card, especially early on in his career. It should be, hey, you could go get me a bucket. I don't know why my lighting just look like I'm in a cave now. But Jaden Hardy last year, his spot up shooting, great. His 3-point shooting numbers, great. Playing alongside Luka and Kyrie at times. So that is fine. And I trust him as a shooter, but we still need him to be, and he tried to do this summer league, struggled a little bit. Then he got, shut down there, but we got to have isolation, efficient scoring Jaden Hardy that he can create his own buckets, to where we've talked about that path to a Jordan Poole, Tyler Hero, Jordan Clarkson, that type of flamethrower microwave 6-man. Well, to be that, you got to be able to create your own shot, and he just needs to do that more efficiently.
I've been thinking a lot about players like this, but also you can put Anthony Simons in that category as well. I think the Mavs and Hardy, or I think the Mavericks, will benefit from the overcorrection of those guys. Like, the NBA overpaid a Jordan Poole, a Tyler Hero, maybe an Anthony Simons. They overpaid those guys, and now they're going to underpay them. And so I think that may be coming for Hardy, but we'll see. It'll be a while until his deal comes up. For him, it was defense, awareness, and positioning. Like, I think the offense will come. His spot up shooting will be there. They tried to do him as a point guard thing at Summer League, and it just didn't work really well. I can't see him having a really big role with the ball in his hands. He'll do some secondary creating where they kick it over to him on the left, and he attacks a closeout, or he drives from where he is. And so, I guess he's got to get better at that. But to me, for him to be able to stay on the court, he's got to be better defensive awareness and defensive positioning. Just got to be in the right spot at the right time. I agree. Seth Curry. This is not fair, I guess, because he was good at this last year, but pick and roll ball handling. Can he just bring a little bit more of that? When he was with Dallas last, so the 2019-20 season, according to Synergy, he was average at that. He did about 35% of the time. And with Brooklyn last year, he was rated very good at that and did it about 30 something percent of the time. So he's either gotten better at that, or he was in a better position to do that. But the Mavericks will need some of that creation, especially if Luka or Kyrie miss games. They'll be asking Seth Curry to do some of that. And so I want him to bring that and help improve the Mavericks in that way. I put 3-point attempts. He's one of the best 3-point shooters of all time. He is, above 40% career 3-point shooter. Last year, he played in over 60 games for Brooklyn, and he attempted. That was the sketchiest thing ever. What'd you just do? Just took a drink of water. Take a hit or something?
My first shot, my first make.
Nick just took a shot off. Took a shot. Camera. But last year, he attempted 3.8 threes a game. And I go back to this old theory that I used to listen to college basketball podcast with Mark Titus and Tate Frazier. And Titus used to say this thing, and I always it's always stuck with me. He's like, there should never be an above 40% 3-point shooter on your team, because if you're shooting 40%, then you should be shooting so much that like you're not shooting 40%. And
Tim Hardaway says, I agree.
Say no more. Challenge accepted.
Bet.
And so for Seth, I just want him to shoot more threes. Now, obviously, his playing time is going to affect that, but I need more threes from Seth because he's one of the best.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. Richaun Holmes struggled with this. He didn't play a lot last year with the Kings. It was hard to me. I think it's switching on isolation and pick. He defended the most as defending the pick and roll because as like defending the ball handler last year, and that's the most possessions he defended, because people put him in switches a lot and they tried to, attack him, and he rated poor out of that spot. And so he's got to get better at that, because he'll do that with the Mavericks too. And that's how he's going to stay on the floor, is if he's a little bit better defender than Dwight, a little bit better rebounder than Dwight. And then we think his pick and roll stuff on offense is going to be awesome. He'll have the floater. He'll finish, he'll dunk, he'll do all that kind of stuff on offense. We've got to see it on defense. And I think that has to improve for him to get, a bunch of playing time.
I'll go with you on that. I just haven't seen him play for a while, so I really struggle with it.
Anything on Derrick Jones Jr.?
No. I mean, outside shooting, but it's like, is that just like who he is? Or
the thing with his outside shooting is a couple of listeners pointed this out to me, is that he has gotten like his percent has gone up. It's not much up, but like with Miami 4 years ago when he won the dunk contest, 28%. Portland that year, 32%. Chicago 2 years ago, 33%. Last year, 34%. Like, it's slowly going up. And we've also gone over, he hasn't played with a ton of good playmakers. Can he get some wide open shots? I think he was 37 or 38% on wide open threes last year. If he gets more of those, which he's definitely going to get, then can he improve in that? And so, yeah, 3-point shooting is definitely his thing, and that he needs to improve on. And can he do that? Dante Exum. This one's the easiest one for me. Get his 3-point percentage to translate from overseas to the NBA, because we saw him as he was in Europe last year, 91st percentile on catch and shoot shots, 94th percentile on ISO shots. He shot 45% on 189 threes over the last 2 years over in Europe. I mean, can any of that translate over to the NBA? That would be massive for them to have a 6'6", a big guard that can defend. He can handle the ball a little bit. I've seen some of his stuff with the Australian team. He can handle it and make some plays. He's been doing some stuff for them. And it would just be good to have that kind of utility guard that the Mavericks hoped that Frank would be. And
people forget about Frank,
but that Dante Exum could actually be.
And it's kind of like the DeLon Wright mold.
Yes.
Of being able to have that versatility off the bench. But yeah, everything you said with him, everything's about his 3-point shot.
What about your boy, the rookie?
Oh, man.
What do you want to see from Omax?
Oh man, I mean, I didn't do the rookies but I mean, everything's going to come down to the 3-point shot for him. So I think he's going to have the tenacity. He's going to make some mistakes, but he's going to play defense. I think he is like quick enough with his feet to guard on the perimeter a little bit more. But what's going to keep him on the floor or keep him off the floor? It's not going to be turnovers or foul. I mean, he's going to foul too, but it's going to be him bricking outside shots, and he's got to show he can do that.
Something Jared Dudley said after Summer League about Olivier-Maxence-Prosper was that he can get to the rim, and he's like a bull getting to the rim, but he makes some wild decisions sometimes. And I think just slowing it down, I think the slowing down of the game is going to help him a lot, because he was really good in transition in college, but translating that to the NBA. So the slowing down of the game, that's something he's got to improve, which every rookie kind of has to.
Got to tighten his handle a little bit. It's a little,
for sure,
little tall, little loose with it. He's going to get ripped some, but it's part of being a rookie.
What about Derek Lively?
Yo, you see Apple Jacks?
Lively's got to show he can bang down low, and I think that was one of the things when we were doing some draft profile stuff, that when I started looking at some of his defending in the post numbers in college, he just got manhandled a few times.
He did.
And more than a few times, but just defend. You would think someone with that wingspan and stuff would just, all right, you do. If you're down low, I'm blocking
Move
it.
Evan everybody out.
And he's great at challenging guards and help side, or weak side and all that stuff. But it's defending down low that I don't know if it's more weight, which he has put on more weight. You look at the beginning of rookie season, Dereck Lively at Duke to, now, then you can see the weight he's put on. But that's the next step. I mean, you could say shooting too, but
yeah. I don't think his shooting is anywhere close.
I know that. Yeah, that's why I got out.
You saw it in summer league. They didn't look to him one time at shooting at all.
I thought he would too.
They looked to Marcus Bingham his first year more than they looked at Dereck Lively's first year.
If Lively doesn't take any threes, then I don't want anybody ever to send me any pre-workout draft workout videos again
of a guy
because
a bunch in a row.
That got so much hype of him hitting 14 threes.
He's rising because of his threes.
Freaking out about him being stretch 5 and everything. And he shot 2 threes, and one of them was an air ball, and one of them hit the backboard. And
one of them was a broken play that was late in the shot clock where he had to just grab it, run to the 3-point line like Ray Allen did in that shot with the Heat against the Spurs. Like that one doesn't even count to me.
I'm a believer in like the form of his shot. I think he'll get better
eventually for sure.
But if he's not taking threes for another year or so, it's like, all right, what were y'all doing with this?
That's one of the things in the G League he can take a bunch.
Yeah, throw him up. Fire him away in Frisco.
Fire him away, dude. Run some pick and rolls with pick and pops with Mike Miles, and just hit some of those. I'll go cover some of those games. I'll go there in person if we got Mike Miles and Dereck Lively both playing. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun.
There you go. Let us know which Dallas Maverick player, and which player needs to make improvements and what they need to make improvements on in the comment section.
You didn't even list JaVale.
I have JaVale, but it's in italics. And I got nothing on JaVale.
All right.
Here, this is what I got for JaVale.
JaVale McGee.
That's all I got.
I put mobility.
You put something for JaVale, but didn't put something for Derrick Jones or the rookies or Richaun Holmes or.
Yeah, there's more of a list for JaVale.
Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.